didn't see you there. But while you're here, I guess I'll tell you. My name is Jewel, and today, I'm gonna show you how to make this bag. And now, keep this just between us. But a little birdie told me that if you look into the description of this video, you might find the pattern for this bag. I don't know who you heard it from. You didn't hear from me. So, if you would like to sew along with us, grab yourself a pattern and let's go. All right, so let's get started. I'm starting out by first measuring the 1-inch marking on the pattern. You want to make sure that it is correct, or your pattern is going to be lap-sided and not to size. Then I'm cutting off the extra bit on the side, which is the margin of the right and the bottom of each page. I'm going to line up those diamonds and then paste my tape down. You want to make sure that those lines and the diamonds are really correct, just so your pattern is all lined up and very beautimous, okay? So you're going to paste all of it down with your tape, then go ahead and go in and cut out at all the lines. Make sure that you cut out at the solid line and not the dashed line. The dashed line is just to show you where your seam allowance is, where the solid line is actually where you need to cut. So you'll cut out all of your pieces here, make sure you have everything correct, and then we are ready to start marking some stuff up and sewing. Well, not sewing, but marking some stuff up. So I'm using a really nice leather that I found. It might be a faux leather, honestly, but I am marking the back of the faux leather for the pattern piece and then cutting it from there. You want to make sure for your center front and side panels that you flip the pattern piece, okay? So for your front panels, make sure you flip each piece so you have the right and the left side. I didn't video that, so I'm telling you, do as I say, not as I do, okay? Then we're going to do the same thing for our fabric pieces. On the pattern, there are markings that say, text that says whether it's for the lining, whether it's for the outside, or whether it is for the inside. So you'll know based on what the pattern says, what part of the fabric to cut out. So this was for our lining, thus why we cut out the lining. And here's all of our beautiful pieces. So cute, so fun. Now it's time to get started. So I'm putting the front panels side by side and then placing them on top of each other and clipping that down. Along where those clips are is where you're going to sew at a 1/2 inch allowance, which is what we have. Then I'm going to open it up and use leather glue. You can really use any leather glue. You can find it at Michael's, Hobby Lobby, but use your leather glue, paste it along that seam, and then fold those seams down. This is the equivalent of basically like butterflying your seam and pressing them open with an iron. But since you cannot use heat on your leather, I say that again, don't use heat on your leather. This is what you need to do to make sure that that seam is really crisp. Then we're going to have both of the pieces together. So I've done the front and the back and attach them at that bottom seam. Again, you're going to sew all the way across. Once you have that seam done, we're going to open it up, butterfly the seam, paste it down as we've done before. You will see that this step is something that we do 11,000 times. But this just makes sure that you have beautiful seaming and that you have professional finishes and that everything is so nice and cute for you. Now we are going to go in with some top stitching. As you can see, very cute, very clean. I did double top stitch on all of my panels and I pretty much like it, but you can do whatever you want. Now we're moving on to the decorative bits. So this is completely optional if you want to do it or not, but I found a lot of people really like it this way rather than the plain way, but again, up to you. I used some circular studs. I pushed them into the leather fabric and then I folded over the prongs with a hammer. Don't use your thumbs. I did it. Don't do it. Now we're going to fold everything together, right sides together, and then clip along the side seams of the bag. So now the bag is really starting to come together. We're going to sew along those side seams, as you can see. And guess what we finna do again, girl? We finna glue it down. We're about to glue it down. I told you, girl, we're going to do a lot of gluing. So we're going to glue all that down for both sides. As you can see, you're going to go through like one full thing of glue. So be prepared. Now we're going to flip that over, do the same thing, adding glue to the back of that seam. Again, it's basically butterflying the seam, but instead of going right over and pasting your seam over, I want to open it up and paste it so I don't get a really crunchy seam, So you're going to open it up, paste your seam down, and now we're gonna box these corners. So you're gonna pinch the ends of the corners, add clips to them, and then sew along that line again at a 1/2 inch allowance. Look at that. She's looking like a bag. She's boxed up. Now we're going to clip those box seams. Once you clip those, guess what you're going to do again, girl? Guess what you're going to do again? You're going to glue and fold and butterfly the seam again. You're going to glue and fold and butterfly the seam again. So we're going to do that on both sides. And look how beautiful she is coming along. Alrighty, now it is time to add some stiffener into the bottom of this bag. So this is completely optional. If you really want like a real boho bag where it's like actually slouchy, you could absolutely skip this part, but I like some structure in my bag. So I just added the leather cement to the bottom of the bag and to the bottom of my leather. This is tooling leather, but if you have bag stiffener, you can use that. I would kind of go against using cardboard because I feel like she's going to fold up. So like a tooling leather, any stiff surface that you have, cut that up and put it in there, child. So now it's time to work on this lining. So we're going to paste the lining pieces together of the facing and the actual lining. And what you going to do, girl? You're going to sew across that line. And then guess what you're going to do, girl? We're going to open this up and then do what? Glue it and butterfly that. Well, we're not going to butterfly. We're going to glue it and paste it down, but we're going to paste everything toward the facing. So both seams are going to be pasted toward that facing. As you can see, everything is being folded all the way up. Now we're just going to add some decorative top stitching. I feel like I'm a top stitch girl. I love a nice little decorative seam, so I did a lot. You don't have to do all this. Then we're going to add our magnetic closure. This depends on what closure you have. If you have one like mine, just mark and slice where the prongs are, push it through the leather, add the back plate, and then push those prongs down. It's kind of the same as doing the studs as we did earlier. There's just an extra step of the back plate. But if you have a different magnetic clasp, use whatever the instruction says, but this is also optional, so you don't have to have a clasp at all. You can just have a open back. Then we're going to sew up that side seam again. This is basically the same thing as what we did for the outside of the bag, so we're just doubling it down again for the inside of the bag. So we're following those same steps, butterflying that seam open and gluing the seam down. I told you, you're going to go through the whole thing today. You're going to go through the whole thing today, and that's okay. That's all right. That's what we do for the projects that we love. Again, we're going to glue the back and butterfly this seam. But remember, for the back side, you've got to open up the seam and then paste it down because you want a nice and pristine seam. We want nice and pristine seams, not chunky lunky seams. Not chunky lunky schemes. Not schemes. Seams. Not chunky lunky ones. We want the nice ones. So we're doing that again. I hope this is helpful. I'm not like chatting through the whole thing. This is my first anyways, let's keep going. Now we're going to add clips to the bottom. You want to add around 3 to 5 inches at the bottom that you are going to do unsewn. So only sew the edges. Then we're going to glue everything down. But that gap in the middle is how we're going to turn our bags out at the end. So when we want to turn the bag to the outside, we're going to go through this hole. So you want to make sure it's big enough to fit the whole bag, but you also want to make sure that you have enough space to sew. So again, we're just butterflying these seams and we're going to paste them down. Then we're going to pinch the corners as we did before, box them corners up, clip them down, sew them down, clip them and sew them, sister. Bang, we finna do it again. Box them, clip them, sew them, sister. And look how good they look. They are nice and boxed. Call me Mike Tyson, baby. I'm boxing. And then we're going to snip inside the seam allowance again, and we are going to butterfly those seams. This is I should be sponsored by leather cement glue because obviously I be using it. As you can see, you can even use it on fabric. It doesn't even just have to be the leather. Come on now. So now it is time to put them bags together. So we're going to put the outside shell into the lining, right sides together, and then we're going to clip at the opening of the bag. So for the front side, you're going to leave like 2 inches at the top that you are not going to sew. On the back side, you will sew the whole thing. Once it's sewn, we're going to clip the seam allowance that is closest to the outside of that bag, and we're going to clip the seam allowance at the top, so 0.5 inches down, and I'll show you a bit closer up. But we're going to clip around 0.5 inches, which is half an inch. I'm going to clip that away because we're going to do something special there. Then we're going to add the glue across the entire seam allowance for the shorter side, glue that down, and we're going to glue everything toward the back side. So this will make sure that when we turn that seam out again, it'll just be beautiful. These are all tips and tricks to make it beautiful. If you don't want to do all this, girl, I understand. You really don't have to. But if you want to be a professional, this is how. So we're going to add a bit more glue, add it to the last part of the seam allowance, and glue it down. And this is going to be pristine, wonderful. So for those tabs at the top, since we clipped them away, we did not add them to the first part that we glued down. We're going to actually butterfly those seams. So there's going to be a part on the front and there's going to be a part glued on the back of that seam. This will be easier because when we close up the strap of the bag, it won't be as bulky to one side. So it really just helps in the long run to make sure everything isn't extremely bulky and there's not a lot of bulk. On the other side, remember that there was that 2 inches that we left unsewn. We're not going to sew that either. That's also clipped away, and we're going to do the same thing where we clip it away and butterfly the seams open to each side of the seam. Beautiful. How beautiful is she? She's beautiful, and I bet yours looks even better because I believe in you. And this is how it looks. So remember that hole that we put at the bottom of the lining? This is her time to shine. So we're going to pull the bag out gently. Okay? Don't try to manhandle the bag, although it does look like I am trying to manhandle the bag. But don't go too crazy, you know. The bag is stable, but she can rip on you. So don't go too crazy. Now we are going to attach these straps together. We opened them up, put them right sides together and clip them down. This is a little bit of awkward sewing, but I believe in you. You can do it. Once it's sewn down, guess what we going to do? Guess what we're going to do? You can already see it. We butterflying them seams again. And we are butterflying to reduce the bulk because we are going to go over all of this with our sewing machine. As you can see, she's looking beautiful. Those seams are butterflied and we're going to turn them inside out as they should look. Then we're just going to add glue into those seams that we just turned out, paste them together and add some clips just to let them dry. Then I'm going to clip around the entire opening and top stitch it. We are to the last part, sisters. So we're going to just do the handle, clip around the entire handle, sew at a 1/2 inch allowance and clip those corners. We're going to do the same thing as we just did previously and chop down one of the seam allowances. So we're going to do it to like half of the size. You don't want to trim it too short because then it's going to be hard to actually fold it over when you actually start gluing it down. So just do it to around half of the way. And we're doing it for all the sides except the top. Do not touch the top where the opening is. You will need to turn it out that way, okay? Don't touch her. Now, guess what we're going to do, girl? We're going to glue it down. Then we're also going to add snips to the top where that 1/2 inch allowance is, just because we're going to snip that completely off later. So we're going to paste these seams down after we had glued them. And as I mentioned previously, we're doing them all to one side as we just did. So I'm going to cut out where that curve is. There's a sharp corner in the pattern and I'm just going to cut a V into it so that when I paste it down, I won't have any excess bunching at that part of the seam. So we added the glue and we are gluing her down all of the way around. Then didn't I say it? We're going to chop off where that 1/2 inch seam allowance was. And we are going to turn this handle out. Again, be careful with your creations. Be careful with your creations. You don't want to go too hard. But like looking at this, it does look like I'm going crazy. Like I'm like manhandling this thing, but I really did not think I was. So after that, make sure everything is nice and it's very flat. And we're going to add a top stitch to it. Look at her. Beautiful. Going to use the template and cut out the holes. If you don't have a hole puncher, you can get a handheld puncher or you can punch it yourself with an owl, whatever you need to do to make this happen. Then you're going to put your clips in. I like to fold mine first to see where everything goes, but you want to make sure that the button caps part of the clips are on the top side. So you want to put those on the top, whichever side you want to do it basically for the first round, then fold them. Then that's where you see when the bottom side of the clip needs to be, because they need to clip together. So that's kind of a hack or a way to do it so you don't have to think too much about it. It's all about having fun. It's all about having fun. So I did both sides, and then we're going to bring it over to the bag. Look at her. So now this is a way to cover up that seaming that we did earlier, just in case yours didn't turn out great. Girl, I feel it. It happens. So we're going to sew it down, clip it, and she's done. Wow, I'm so proud of you. You did a great job.